Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is Commissar here, and I am with you on Daybreak today to see the third and final game of this best of 3 series between Liquid HerO, our red Protoss player spawning in the bottom left hand side of the map, and his opponent, his teammate, the winner of game number 2 who won in convincing style, is none other than Team Liquid's Ret. Okay, so of course Ret did indeed perform well, brilliantly last game. That was pretty cool. And this is Daybreak. Daybreak's a different story altogether. Like I said, Antigua is always a 3-base map. Daybreak can be a 3-base map, but of course it's a lot more open to longer matches. One of my favorite maps on the map pool. It is considered to be one of the most balanced maps overall in the map pool at the moment. We do indeed have a choice of 2 different 4th bases, after an easy to secure 3rd base at the bottom on screen now. The differences are, of course, this 4th base over here and the center has far less money than the base over at the bottom right and the top left hand sides respectively. The big difference, of course, being, do I want to defend long distance with ramps, or do I want to keep my bases closer together and be out in the open? Do I want to move towards my opponent or away from my opponent? Those are the big things to cover. So generally a more mobile player will go for this base in the bottom side, a less mobile player will go for this base over here, and eventually you'll probably end up with both, as Daybreak has produced some magnificent macro games over the past few months. Okay, so you will notice that we do see the scout of HerO checking the watchtower just to make sure that no early lings are on the way to his base. Very thorough scouting there for HerO. Always cool to see just how thorough these players are about their everyday tasks, about their typical trivial tasks, the trivialities of StarCraft. And of course, by checking that tower, you can potentially win a game if you see lings on the way to your base. Okay, so we do indeed see the pull and the hatch being scouted. Important to note that despite a success with a hatch first on the last map, on Daybreak, Ret goes for the spawning pool first, so he is more afraid of early pressure. He is more afraid of specifically, I suppose, cannon rushing, and also, because there is obviously a nice pocket back here for cannons, and also afraid of, I suppose, things like proxy gates, that sort of thing, early zealot pressure, all of that sort of jazz. Okay, we do see the first 4 lings moving out for Ret, not actually going to this 3rd base. A drone goes down there though, and is going to be quite annoyed, although you'll notice that Ret's money isn't at 300 quite yet. It's hitting 300 now, so really the delay is going to be pretty minor here. And yeah, this probe's as good as dead. The hatchery goes down, it gets seen by HerO, and Ret is really not worse off at all for that delay. You're just trying to get a little advantage out. But with the pull first, you can't really deny that for very long, of course, because lings do shut down a probe with remarkable ease. Okay, so we're going to see the neutral supply depot being killed off here by HerO. Players, of course, very frustrated with having to deal with supply depots. Of course, it is indeed considered to be worthwhile, as it means no sort of cheeses at the bottom of the ramp, no bunkers or pylon cannon wall-offs at the bottom of a ramp. It does, of course, have the flip side of saying, well, you can't build that yourself. A little bit unfortunate, but you know, such is life, and it's not a big deal at all for HerO. HerO is now chrono boosting out his +1. Last game I said he liked to hide his forge in the main base to prevent this from being scouted, but if this was scouted right now by this Overlord, if it swung around the front, as opposed to going around into this range of the cannon, and just came around the front and saw the forge, then that would send off alarm bells in Ret's head, because why would his opponent need such a quick +1 attack unless something was up? Well, of course he wouldn't, so that's the big issue. So what is HerO up to is the big question. It'll probably be a 2-base play, and I just noticed my frame rates have dipped a little bit here, so I'm just going to try and sort that out. Okay, so we're just going to jump straight back into the action. Sorry about this frame issue. First time it's happened today, now we're back to it. Now we're back in business. Okay, so I'm going to see the +1 coming out quite quickly for HerO, of course, as I mentioned just a moment ago. Meanwhile, over on the Ret side of things, we do indeed see the 3rd base going up at about this time. The 3rd base is, of course, starting to mine. The Queens now out in full force on the map for Ret. Red saturation looking pretty good at this stage. We do see a total of 20 drones at the natural base. That is going to be enough to saturate almost 2 gas geysers. You need really 22 to get 16 on minerals, 3 on each gas geyser. Then you're pretty much set. You don't really need more than that. That's maximum efficiency. That's a pretty good spot to be. Okay, so anyway, I do indeed see Red taking again the gas geysers in his natural before the gas geysers in his main. That always puzzles me. That always puzzles me. I'm sure there's some logical reason for it. Probably to do with the drone distribution, just spreading out the drones, the saturation and spread, distribution of drones. Not the biggest deal in the world though. Here we're going to see one Zealot, 1 Socket Pressure coming out of HerO. A very, very cool thing to do, is because it's such a small investment from HerO, and it can cause potentially so much damage if unprepared for. Red, of course, is going to deflect this with relative ease as the frames continue to stay low. I'm really hoping that'll stop, because that hasn't been an issue in the last couple of games. I'm now indeed going to see this Ahsoka being deflected at the moment. Okay, I'm hoping the lag's resolved itself now. And we are going to indeed see the Stalker be driven off by quite a decent herd of Lings. Slow Lings, of course, at this stage. Speed is about a minute off from completion. Okay, so HerO is meanwhile being pressured by Zealots, which apparently I missed. The Zealots have killed a total of 2 workers this game. Of course, the Lings are out to kill the Stalkers, and this is going to be a significant pressure coming out of HerO. He does indeed have their early +1 now kicking in, and of course, +1 Zealots demolish 0-0 Lings with their 2-shotting of them. And a pure Ling defense is exactly what HerO was hoping for this game, and that is going to put this third in jeopardy. It is going to die. There is no way that it can be saved this game. And even with these Lings here, they probably can't hold it. It is trying to delay for roaches more than anything. A couple of Zealots will die, but this is the most inefficient fight for Red possible. Not even worthwhile. I really feel like Red should just gone for that pylon right there instead of going for the Lings, as this is not worth it. He is not going to hold his third base. He should try and cut off the reinforcements. Of course, the Broodlings will help him to clean up now. The third base is already dead, and that pylon should have been dead before that second warp-in came. That just most recent warp-in. Okay, so anyway, so HerO's going to be cleared out there, but a very successful push at the start. The beauty of this play by HerO, it was a 4-gate. 2-base 4-gate is the smallest commitment possible to early aggression in this matchup. And it worked so well. It's now 2-base to 2-base, the third base is on the way now for Ret, rather. And sure, we do have a 12 units from Ret, but he's kind of overreacted to the point where in order to be safe from the 4-gate, he's now going to be behind on drones, just because he's had to make all those units instead of drones. Now, of course, the harvesters are actually even, which they shouldn't be at this stage of the game. At this stage, the Zerg play expects to be 1 base up and a bunch of drones up. That's not the case this game. And of course, this third is going to go down for HerO pretty soon, and Red is going to try and deny it, but he can't really stay around here and just deny it, because the army of HerO is still pretty decent, because HerO didn't have to commit to that earlier push very heavily. Just a few Zealots, a couple of Stalkers, nothing much. Of course, the Sentries didn't push. The Sentries are at home, the Sentries are safe, the Stalkers are safe at home, and that's going to deal with Roaches pretty well. Immortals will be nice, but of course Immortals are going to be a little bit more distant with this quick third base. And the Probe is going to be sniped most likely. No, it's going to just be able to walk off. But meanwhile, of course, the Futures are inside the force fields here, and it looks like the second warp in is going to be denied here. So Ret, by sniping that pylon, is actually going to put a lot of pressure back onto HerO, but these force fields are going to be very powerful, and Ret should not be committing here. He really overextended there. He should not have pushed past that third base, but he is still in a pretty decent spot here. He does need reinforcements if he is to hold on to this denial of the third base. He really is outnumbered desperately in this stage. He's going to try and focus a couple of units, but no, they're not even being focused, and Blink is now done for HerO, so HerO going to clean up with virtually no losses there. Only a couple of units going down in the end. Meanwhile, of course, the reinforcements are coming for Ret, but only a few speedlings is not going to do much at this stage of the game. And whoa, what do you see on the supply? You see HerO being 7 ahead because of the delay of that third base. That third base was so delayed that Ret is basically stuffed from a build order point of view right now, and he really needs some cost-efficient play. And he is going Investors. Investors probably the most potential to come back from a deficit because of their potential to pull off big plays, big wins for free of energy. much like the High Templar, save for a Protoss player who's behind. Okay, so we're going to see some scouting with this observer for HerO. Going to see everything. Going to see that this 4th base with the Zerg army is going to go up in the center of the map. And this idea of having the 4th base in the middle, like I said earlier, means a less mobile army. It means the aim is Broodlord Infestor for the rat. As you'd expect, the Infestors are coming out in strong numbers at the moment. And of course, Infestors and Broodlords are both pretty slow. But is Red going to actually live to see Broodlords come out? As it's going to be a big push here by HerO, and oh, the Force Fields are not going to come down. A couple of Force Fields could have killed all those Lings potentially, but most likely they wouldn't have. And oh, I don't like this. Red's going to try and defend this. At this stage, I almost feel like he can't even defend this. I feel kind of like Red should just go back to base, but he's going to try with all he can. He's got a lot of Infestors. He's going to track in some Infested Terrans, but remember, the Infestors have only just popped out. Their energy is very low indeed. And meanwhile, in this fight, we are going to see HerO taking a decisive lead. Going to take out this 4th straight away. I don't even know why we actually saw Red trying to hold onto that 4th base. Just unrealistic, really. And meanwhile, the Infestor count has been diminished quite substantially, down to 7. All of them are on not the best energy. Meanwhile, of course, the army of HerO getting stronger and stronger with that War Prism being present. And over here we are going to see more Fungals going down, going to try and get the Observers and the couple of Sentries. They're not even going to die themselves, let alone a higher toll. And meanwhile, of course, we are going to see HerO push into the 3rd base of Red. Red has very little to defend here, and he's going to try and get a couple of big Fungals. He gets them, but the Infestors are gotten by even bigger Force Fields. The Blink Forward going to kill another Infestor, down to 2 Infestors on the map at this stage. A couple of big Fungals, not enough at this stage, and not enough Infestors to chain Fungals at this stage. And Blink is going to be too powerful without enough energy for Fungal growth. And these Lings are just mincemeat for the superiorly upgraded Zealots. And that should be game, and the series going to Liquid HerO. Just waiting for the GG, there it is, and well played indeed by HerO. And that is quite cool, that little animation there to see the Stalkers in mid-blink, in 2 locations at once almost. But, of course, Ret is going to be the loser today. HerO, the victor, the rightful victor, earning a hard-fought series 2-1 with a couple of 2-base timings. You'll notice that the games that HerO won were off, it's about to say off 2 bases, but there are 3 bases on the map right now. So he won 2-base timing game 1. He sort of failed with a 2-base pressure that wasn't a very weird sort of 2-base pressure. It seemed too weaker than it should have been in game number 2. This game, of course, HerO playing a much more solid game out, just crushing Red. And really the big thing, the mode where this game was won was not in this push at the end, because the Infestors came out pretty quickly for Red. That wouldn't have been an issue if he'd had the economy to be a little bit faster, to have a few more units out. Because really, had this 3rd base not gone down at the start of the game, Ret would have been fine, he would have been dandy, and there would have been no problems at all. In the end, though, Ret of course being out-muscled by his teammate HerO. Remember, most of his supply at the end of the game was drones. His army was tiny, meek, miserable, almost non-existent. Queens and Infestor. And of course, that was a solid victory for HerO. So I hope you enjoyed the series today. It is my first cast in quite a while. I am struggling a little bit. Of course, I'm a little bit out of it, but I hope to get back into it over the next few weeks. And as such, I hope to see your support. So thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing. If you do like my content, please recommend it to a friend, or just tell me you like it. Tell me what I can improve on. That's the most important thing. And I'll see you guys all on another day.